Hi, Akash.
Hello.
Hey, do you think we are ready for RC?
I think we're almost there. I think the last PR once it merges, we should be good to cut it, considering we finished all the pre-validation tests. So
Yeah, exciting, exciting.
yeah.
Ah, there it goes. Hey, Susan.
Hi, Josh. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How is everything? How's the baby?
Doing good. Growing like a weed. He was born 9 pounds, 14 ounces, and he was 14 pounds at his 2-month checkup. So he's growing like crazy.
Oh my God.
98th percentile. He doesn't get that from me. I'm only 5'9", so definitely my wife's side.
Nice, nice. Does sound like if the baby's growing well, he's probably sleeping well, eating
Hmm.
well.
Yep.
And yeah, that's great to hear.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Josh, just to fill you in, so this past weeks we've been working towards the 1.2 RC release. And today, we think we just have all the changes ready to cut the RC branch. So what we're gonna do in the first half of the meeting is just to review our status on test coverage, PR status, and then hoping that later today we'll be able to cut the RC branch.
Sounds good. Thanks for the update.
And in this release, we have two major improvement. One is Akash worked on the cosign improvement to allow for multiple keys with the support of registry scope matching. Yeah, but I think Akash would be able to talk to that. And you'll see all the details in the release note as well. And the other one is a multi-tenancy. We'll go through the status. Okay, cool. Let me start sharing the window. May 15th. Cool. So we're gonna look at our PRs. But meanwhile, if anyone have any agenda to add, feel free to add it to the list. So going to the Ratify repo. Yeah, thank you for making the fixes for the before we cut the RC, Akash and Bin. This one, 1474, it's approved. Is this one ready to merge?
So the implementation is ready to go. I have not added a unit test for this. That's why there's one failing check on the code coverage. Unfortunately,
It's the
yeah,
SDK, yeah.
yeah, we don't have. I need to mock the client if I want to do the SDK. If I want to write a unit test for this, I'm in the process of trying to introduce a new interface that will wrap the functionality of the Key Vault client, so that then we can provide our own mocked version on top of that. but I was
Yeah.
wondering if we should block on that, or is that a follow-up item?
I think we should merge this one as is and then log an item to mod the interfaces for the Azure SDK. Does anyone on the call have concerns? Yeah, Akash, I think we can go ahead and merge this after this call.
Sure.
And while for 1479, I think Akash, you had a question about did we reassign the sample image? Just having a look at the conversation. Bin, can you give us some context on the cert value update?
Oh yeah, so I was testing with the notary images that we use for testing, and I realized that the cert value in this sample is not the one we are using for testing, and actually it's different from the one in under the test folder. So there is, I remember there is a notary cert on the test folder, so which is different from this one. So also, I think there is no specific usage on this sample file. So maybe we didn't realize this is already like adopted.
Yeah, I think the samples, the intention is to give an example of how you would configure the inline
Yes.
certificate. It may
Yeah.
not necessarily
And I'm
match.
I'm writing the multi-tenancy documentation, and I want to have some like file to reference. So I think maybe I can just use this one, so I update the value.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah, let me just approve this now.
Yep, thank you.
And I'll do an update branch, and that one would be ready to go soon. Okay, next, I'll bring up the buddy test tables that we have. Yeah, so looking at the test matrix, it looks like we have completed all the testing for cosine improvements. Just checking if E is on the call. There are some paused with questions. I just want to check that all the things has been addressed there. Oh, hi E. So we've completed the validations for cosine scenarios. Are you happy with the result? Are we ready to release RC?
Hi, Susan. Just to confirm the disable key, whether that one was fixed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Go ahead, Akash.
So the fix is going to be merged. That was the first PR we were discussing, and that fix will now, if the key is disabled in Key Vault, it will be a blocking error on the entire creation of the key management provider. So it will show up as an error if you describe the resource, and it'll explain that it failed because of the key was disabled, and it'll recommend the user to either re-enable the key or remove the reference to the key in order for the KMP to successfully create. I have opened up a couple issues based off of our discussion on Monday, where we want to track providing more granular level key and certificate creation errors. Right now, we don't support that right now. It's kind of an all or nothing scenario when you try to load the keys or certificates from Azure Key Vault. But that's another work stream that we can tackle after this. So for now, I've kind of, for consistency's sake, it's a blocking error if the key is disabled.
Okay.
On the
Mhm.
certificate side of thing, I also tried that out, and we already do support that. You may have already tested this scenario, but because we use the get secret API for Azure Key Vault, if you try to pull a secret that's disabled, the API will return an error 403 forbidden. So that's we already have that propagated up to the user.
Okay, that's great. So then could you switch to the issues page? I want to
Sure.
confirm the issue I created. And I think a disable key is one of them. And I would like to take a look at the rest of the issues. Could you? Yeah. I think we discussed previously that I think a disable key is one of the issue we should fix. I would like to confirm whether there are others. Can you scroll down a bit?
Yep. Would you like me to filter on the author?
Okay, great.
So the disabled key is issue 1449.
Yeah, this one is marked 1.2.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I think it looks good for me. The other issues are not blocking. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for checking. Okay, moving on to the multi-tenancy scenarios. I think I have to go all the way. There was another table here. So E, from this validation, multi-tenancy, we're still tracking issue 1458. But I don't think there's a code change on Ratify side for this release. Binbin, do we have an update from Gatekeeper side?
So I create an issue on Gatekeeper side. So basically they will consider this feature, but I don't think it will be like implemented soon.
Yeah, I think for this one, we just need to in the document mention that for this we needed to the admin needed to also apply the store for the whole cluster. Once this issue was fixed, then admin does not need to do that.
Yeah, so once Gatekeeper supports that, we just need to update the assign like CRs, so there is no code change to our code base.
Yeah,
But
at the
it-
moment, we don't have any customer scenario that they said we need to absolutely only install the store in the namespace level, right?
Yes, that's true, but it's not strictly like isolation. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can see the feedback from the customer.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for completing all the validation, Binbin and E. So it looks like we are ready to cut the branch today. Any concerns from anyone? Cool. That's exciting. I will work with Akash and Binbin in doing the RC release. Hopefully we'll have it out by end of this week. Thank you, everyone. We've been working pretty hard in the couple of weeks for the RC release. Finally there. And once it's released, I will send the bits. I'll notify our partners to try it out as well. On note of that question, Feynman, the next thing we'll tackle is the repo move. I've noticed for Gatekeeper, they have a mailing list. Like we can make announcement in the Ratify channel about the upcoming repo move. Do we have an email list for Ratify partners that we can just also send a quick announcement that the one of the breaking change we anticipate is once we move the repo, the old URL for the chart may not be active. So what they'll need to do, they'll need to upgrade the chart location. It should be a simple change on their side.
Hey Susan, where did you see the mailing list of Gatekeeper?
Yes, so I'll send you, I can send that offline later. So for the repo validation, Gatekeeper created a tracking issue on like how to, maybe they're tracking like a list of breaking changes, or they were tracking how to migrate from the old Helm repo to the new Helm repo. And somewhere the PM on their side mentioned that they will be sending an email announcement as well. So I thought maybe we could start a mailing list as well, because sometimes when you post to the channel, people may not really see it, but if it's also in their inbox, they will be more aware that this change is coming.
Yeah, I understood the intention of this. So in fact, there could be two kinds of mailing list. If Ratify project becomes a CNCF sandbox project, in general, CNCF will create a mailing list and add all maintainers to the mailing list. So if we publish any content in the mailing list, or maintainers in the mailing list will receive the email. So this is the mailing list for project maintainers.
I see.
Other projects like Notary project and Auras has their own mailing list. And on the other side, some of the project may have their own Google mailing list. They will use the Google Gmail to create a public mailing list for people to join that. But I'm not sure this is very popular for CNCF projects. So if you have seen any good example that they are actively using the mailing list, we can create one for Ratify.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll take a closer look at what's Gatekeeper using.
Okay, because I have seen previously I have seen a lot of mailing lists are inactive, especially not so many users are custom with using mailing list.
Yeah, we'll probably talk to Gatekeeper on how active that is.
Yeah. If there's a mailing list for their users, I think we can take a look and see whether we can leverage this kind of approach for Ratify.
Yeah, thanks for the insight, Payman. So last week, I remember Sajay, you were mentioning like that you had to drop early for a meeting, but you were mentioning the attestations. Since we have a little bit of time today, would you like to add more context? I'm not sure if Sajay is on the call. Maybe he's busy. But Akash, do you want to brief the group on some of the work that we need to look at for attestations?
Yeah, I think we briefly touched on it last week, but this is so there's basically two parts to this. One is what's already on the roadmap, which is verifying attestations and being able to basically break the attestation apart and extract the signature from it, and then apply either an existing cosign or notation verifier on top of the signature, as well as compose another existing verifier or custom rego or other policy language on top of the attestation. So that is like a more generic effort that we need to do in order to just verify any sort of attestation moving forward. And likely most popular format is in toto, so we probably want to support that at the minimum. The other component of it is introducing more what I'm calling verification contexts. So right now, our current supported method is via refers that we discover on top of the subject image. So when Gatekeeper, for example, sends the request and gives us a list of those image references, we then just take those image references and then find the refers for each one of them and then apply the actual verifications on each of the artifacts that are discovered as a refer. So the refer is one verification context, but I think it's becoming clearer that not everything we want to verify may necessarily be stored as a refer, right? It could be stored at the image level. So you may want to be invoking a verifier at the image reference level. For example, if we wanted to query like a graph store like Guac, you'd want to query the Guac verifier and provide the Guac verifier on the actual image reference so that it can use that reference to then figure out and traverse a graph to figure out things like what are the vulnerabilities associated with the image and other things like that. The most generic verification context would be that we provide Ratify the location to go download the content from directly. So it's not related to your container image necessarily. May not even be related to your registry, but we could definitely start with support of an OCI artifact reference. But you would want to basically point Ratify to that reference, and then Ratify would go and download that content, and then it would perform those same verifications on that content that is downloaded. So I think we need to think about how we could take the current support, especially around the executor and how verifiers are limited to refer artifact types, and consider how we could make that more generic or introduce a new type or classes of verifiers that are separated by this verification context. So hopefully that kind of makes more sense.
Is Auras, if you just point Auras to the reference, would Auras download it as well today?
Yeah, so we do have interface. We define the interface for the refer store. So the Aura store has the concept of download this particular blob, download this particular manifest. And so I could see us, if we want to support like an OCI artifact reference as the external context, we could reuse a lot of that implementation there to point and download that content without having to actually do the refers lookup first. So we could probably do that. Now, if we wanted to support something even more generic, where it's like it's a URL that you download from, for example, then that we'd have to discuss how we'd introduce that concept. Would that be like another store concept, or is that something entirely different? Yeah. Sajay, I keep your hands up.
Yeah.
I think one key aspect I'm interested in is how do we link an attestation with the deployment? So for example, today you look at the pod and you can look at an image and then kind of do the resolution, and Gatekeeper can mutate, give you the digest and all this stuff. But when a deployment comes, there's no, how do we say that this deployment has an attestation, and this attestation can be found in some place like your context, and it needs to be validated. I'm still not clear if there is any prior art that people follow for this. Like say, for example, should we introduce something like an annotation in the deployment, in the pod spec, that we can inspect and say, hey, this is actually this needs to be there. And if it's not there, then you fail the deployment. And if it's there, then you go verify that attestation. And that's the hint that you need to kind of get the deployment going through. So is there a convention already in that aspect?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the concept of downloading from an external annotation, but I know Helm itself does inject those managed by Helm annotations,
Okay.
right? So you could, like the Helm chart, if it's a managed Helm deployment, it'll say, this is the Helm chart that manages it. And that allows for when you do an Helm uninstall or Helm delete, that's how it knows which resources to go and clean up on the cluster as well. So there is a concept of like linking specific
Okay.
resources to like a deployment, for example, or
So-
big Helm resources. Yeah.
So can we come up with a proposal that says, for this specific deployment, you need to kind of like point out where I can. Basically, what we're doing is discovery, right? We're trying to discover where the attestation artifact is, and then give that information to context so that we can go and fetch and do whatever it is. How is in toto attestations used in any other environment? Like, what would Key Warner do? I don't know. Or Witness, what does it do?
Yeah, so my understanding is that it's mainly where you store it is not as clear. So there is the Witness project is associated with Archivista, which is their graph-based store. So
Okay.
that is actually where the artifacts would live. So you would query that.
But there still has to be some correlation, right? Like this deployment needs to query for this artifact.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. We
Okay,
can look into
so
that.
maybe we can break this up into attestation discovery
Mhm.
or linking of on some form, and then the second one would be actual verification of what the attestation is. So you have acquisition of the attestation also, right? Like Ratify would have to get it from somewhere. So you link it, and then you just, I mean, that's the discovery mechanism or the contract of that Ratify can discover the attestation, and then finally you make sure that it's available from somewhere.
Yep.
Okay. It's good. I
What-
mean, if there isn't anything existing, then it's good. We just start kind of like putting up something, and then let's take it forward.
Yeah, we'll probably need to do more research here. But I've taken the note, how does Witness and Kernel use the in total attestation? And a clarification on the deployment note. So we got the attestation and then we deploy it to the cluster. Are we saying we need to add a piece of information and say this has been deployed to this cluster, and do we have to write it back to some remote location? Or does where this thing is deploying, it's coming with the initial attestation?
Right. So I'm hand waving here. So let's say you run a Helm install, right? You have some metadata in there that says this is the deployment. The attestation for this deployment can be found in some place, right? Like say, I mean, maybe you want to step back here. So as a part of the work that we're doing for deployment attestations, we're kind of formulating something that would say, hey, this is deployed, the attestation is stored here. Once it goes to the runtime, once it goes to your 5 clusters or wherever you want to send it, you can get the attestation from this location. So it's discovery of where that attestation artifact would be. I don't know whether we are at a point where we would embed the attestation into the entire deployment itself. I don't know whether that's where we want to go, but that might be feasible too. So I just want to think about how heavy the payload is, whether it needs to be detached, because attestation is a signature in some way. So maybe we have to think about whether it has to be detached. If it's detached, you need to know how to discover the detached signature from a location. And the option might be, hey, this is the digest and this is the content addressable form of this attestation, right? Like you have your repo : digest, and you just send that to Ratify. Ratify sees this URI, hey, this is where the attestation lives, and I have the policy locally to verify this attestation for the requirement, and that content addressable artifact can be used for the attestation also. That might be one just an example of a thinking. I don't know, along the way I think we'll find.
Saj, did you accidentally mute it or?
Oh yeah, I accidentally muted. Spacebar. Sorry. My dog came
Yep.
over and decided to distract me.
Okay. And just from a timeline perspective, I think attestation is queued up for 1.4. Do you believe that we need to bring it forward to 1.3? We'll be
No.
doing some
Yeah, I mean,
planning soon.
I'm not gonna, yeah, timelines we'll discuss separately. It's like that's gonna be a challenging one. But is there anything else that we're prioritizing?
I think in 1.3 we want to work on the key rotation support.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, certificate rotation scenarios would be the main
Okay.
one. And also for 1.3, we're lining up ourselves for the notary time stamping support.
Okay, yeah, those two would be priority anyway. I think we can start the discussion for this because we still haven't had the format. And hey,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I think first for 1.3, besides what Susan just said, I think another thing is the error message improvement. This is also important not only for image integrity. So this is one issue we should discuss in 1.3. And speaking of the attestation, besides what Cash and Sajid just mentioned, we still have some other issues. Maybe Sajid mentioned a bit is about the signature envelope. So from Ratify point of view, of course, some signature that, for example, the attestation generated by cosign should be able to verify that the in total attestation currently is using the DSSE envelope. So when it comes to notary project, when using notation, so currently notary project, the envelope is COSI and JWS is different. There should be find a good of the signature envelope. This is also where the witness project that previously they joined the notary project meeting for discuss this. And another thing is about the attestation size. It's in simple attestation is some document that's signed with the signature and wrapped together. And currently from in total attestation, it is the whole document content included in attestation. So it could becomes very large. For example, for some large SPON file, and also in the notary project meeting, the witness project, they also mentioned some large example of SPON file. So that means if it is too large, then it will definitely impact the performance if it is embedded in some artifacts. So those issues we need to address as well.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to define why we are doing detached
Yeah,
discovery, right? And if you have a clean definition that the interface attestations are going to be large and hence
some information on top of it. Yeah.
Josh, just wondering if you have any things that you've observed in other tools, what the attestation workflow looks like today?
I haven't. A lot of what I've seen, it kind of mirrors the SBOM right now, where it's something that's just being added alongside the deployment, or it's being put into a graph. But again, there isn't a lot using it, so to speak, on the other end. It's able to create, it's able to do things. So that's actually why I really like the Ratify project, because it gives some teeth and some purpose to those things. But yeah, I'll keep my eyes out now that I'm back into the swing of things and bring back any findings that I have. But I haven't seen any, unfortunately, real use cases from end to end, like where other than what's been talked about in the meeting. But
yeah, thank you, Josh.
No problem.
Any other comment for this topic?
I think just to add to what Yi said about size, I think this is going to become a concern, not just for a particular artifact type. Like we're going to see this become an issue with almost, I feel like any other new artifact type entered. And if we start to do a lot of these verifications at deployment time, we're going to run into more and more problems. So this ties into we need to consider generating attestations and then only verifying that at admission time. I know the Witness project mentioned they were also doing exploration there with certain predicates in the in-toto project. And I think longer term, we should probably also consider doing the same.
Yeah, thanks, Akash. I remember some discussion around the deployment attestations. Yeah. So anyway,
Akash. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Yi.
no, I just mentioned that anyway, we still need time to explore and not only from the scenario user point of view, but also from the problem that we just discussed, performance, signature format, something like that. Yeah.
Yi or Akash, do you have the link to the Witness presentation?
Yeah, I can send it to
Yes.
you. Todd, you had
Yeah.
sent it. Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah, thanks.
Akash, you can quickly find that, you can share it.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll put it in the notes for whoever is interested to review as well. Cool. And I think we haven't gotten to reviewing our PRs in the doc repo. So let me bring that up as well. Thanks. So I think, Akash, the restructuring PR is merged already, has it? Yep.
Yes. Yep.
So has this 58 been rebased already?
Yes, I rebased it. It's ready for review. So this is actually the one with new content for KMP, cosine, and deprecation headers for certificate store.
Nice, nice. Just bringing out. So E also have a PR out for the cosine tutorial, cosine integration with AKV. Is there some sort of overlap here, do you think?
So for my document, I mainly provide this guide from as a user point of view. So for this, it should be common for any scenarios, I think. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, just having a look at how much we walk through the AKV integration here. So this reference have good explanation on like the type of keys that we support, the configuration. There's some recording of how the recorded demo of the verification. But I'm not currently seeing any AKV configuration, but I think are there any AKV setup walkthroughs in here?
No, there's
Okay.
no walkthrough for that. So I think Yi's guide fills that gap there.
Great. So this is mainly focused on the inline scenario then?
Yes, so it's just cloud provider agnostic scenario. Yeah, so just the
Yeah,
inline provider.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So E or Feynman, would you be able to walk through the doc PR for KMP and cosine?
So this will not block the RC release, right? It is
Yeah,
to be merged before our final release, right?
correct.
Okay. Then I probably have time next week because this week is quite busy. So I will start next week and also address the comments to my PR.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that's an interesting question. So we're going to release RC, but for customers or other partners to try out the new features, would they need docs to be ready for an RC release?
That actually there is a way. So for the PR, actually we can we can preview it. We can send the preview link to the user, and if they provide feedback, we can also address it in the PR as well.
Okay, so we'll send the tryout RC and here's a preview of the doc. But there's
Yeah,
no
preview.
but the preview of the doc is more like the PR link.
No, you can for example, you if you click the PR that I created, the first one in the screen, yeah. Actually, there is preview deployment. You can scroll down a bit. Yeah, stop. Click deploy preview. This one. You mean that one? what does this mean? Then click docs.
You should have actually this just redirected to ratify.dev. You want to hit the ignore.
It's ignore, isn't it? Like they really don't want you to click the button because it's grayed out, and it's like it just feels the right thing to do. Click on the enabled blue button.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Click docs. No.
Sorry. I just clicked on the wrong button, so I have to go to the PR again. It was actually going to the regular site, not the preview. But yeah, I see like once you click on the preview, a deployment preview, they should have all the changes, but they would have to click on like to see the KMP references, they'll have to click on Akash's PR for the preview, and to see a AKB integration will point them to the cosine AKB integration preview.
So actually in the release note, we can just mention for other users, you can click this link. So can you continue to click the preview app? I want to explain more. So
sure.
It is not this link to share to the customer. You can click docs. You can click expand the quick starts. Why I cannot see my on the right side is still 1.1.
Yes.
Why I see different from you?
This one, right? Like
yeah,
I clicked on the next, they'll have to toggle the button. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So this one. So I think you only share this link. Put this link in the notes so that the user can directly go to this page for other users. And for some common scenarios, you can also similar copy exactly the link to the document, for example, for Akash one. Then user don't need to explore in the website to find it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I can just send that link when I link them to the RC. Hi, Feynman, I think you have your hand up.
Yeah, I have a notice for using this kind of preview link in the release notes. So preview is for temporary preview. That means if the PR has been merged, the preview link will be invalid within maybe a few days or in a certain period. So I'm not sure this is a good practice to use this as a public reference on release notes or other places, but it would be appropriate to share the link with a certain user if they are interested in using a certain feature. But the general concern is that it is not a good practice to use a deploy preview link in a public place for reference.
Yeah, agreed.
I think we can do it like this because otherwise we need to find another place, copy some items. I think this document should be merged once we have a 1.2 release, right? So without 1.2 release, we should not merge this. Otherwise, user do not have the package to use. And also in some so I mean that we can control the time to merge this PR. So to keep this preview. So once 1.2 is out, we merge this PR and update the 1.2 nodes so that the user can switch to 1.2.
Yeah, sounds good. We will try to line up the doc release with the 1.2 Ratify release. So in the release note, I don't know if we actually add any links in the release note, but we can do that. Like try out the cosine improvements and here's the walkthrough.
Yeah.
If we want to use this practice, make sure that update the preview link to an official link correspondingly and remove the broken one, because the preview link will be broken after we merge that PR within a certain period. So we will need to manually update related links to the version link.
Yes. Yeah, the preview links would just be temporary for people who's interested in trying the scenarios out. Yeah, thanks for the feedback, Payman. And I think in the repo we have so we have the AKV integration PR and the multi-tenancy doc Binbin, is that one almost ready for review too?
Yes, so once I merge the PR in the Ratify report for the third values, and then it should be, it will soon be good.
Yeah, let us know once it's ready. Yeah, we'll get them reviewed this week as well. And I think Akash linked us to an issue on ECR. Think this is a new issue coming in. Akash, have you had a chance to look?
Yeah, so I just looked to see, looking at the guide if they missed anything, sanity check, but my question is, like, how do we actually repro this on our side if we don't have AWS accounts here? So Feynman, do you have a contact on AWS that can step in here and might be able to take a look? Because we don't have that capability.
We might be contacting Jesse from AWS.
Okay.
Who is the principal advocate for ECR team for their and Jesse is also in the Ratify Slack channel. He should be aware of this issue.
Okay, so I can post in the, because this user didn't post in the Slack channel or hasn't yet, so I can just post the issue link and then tag Jesse to see if he can take a look.
Yeah, if we had a active AWS maintainer, they'll be able to help with us. Are we still trying to get a maintainer from AWS side, Feynman?
It's a bit hard to require a maintainer from AWS side, but we can show that there are more and more AWS users who are trying to use Ratify, but the experience is not that smooth. Mm-hmm. We can show our invitation to AWS folks.
Yeah. And in the past, we've talked about like how could we add test coverage for AWS scenarios as well. And at some point, AWS, they were evaluating like what would be the cost if they had a subscription assigned to Ratify. Like they were asking those questions. So it would be good to add coverage if there's a lot of users on this code path.
You mean the end-to-end test? Or
Yeah, we have coverage for Azure today, but we don't have an end-to-end test on AWS.
Yeah, I think I can bring this to one of the AWS maintainer in Notary project, because I just saw the issue it mentioned notation, right? And also the author the author was using the latest patch release. So I think I can approach the AWS maintainer for them to be aware of this. Maybe they have some connect insight for using Ratify.
Yeah, thank you, Yi.
No problem.
yeah, and as always, we're welcoming any maintainers from any organizations.
Cool. Anything else on the agenda?
I think Josh, you mentioned that you were looking to kind of get back into maybe working on a feature for Ratify or some sort of,
writing some code for sure.
yeah. So if anyone has any suggestions on where Josh can start working on, that'd be helpful.
Yeah. Do you have anything in mind, Akash?
I think Josh and I briefly discussed that maybe some of the CLI work, especially enabling like the new key management provider on the CLI, would be a good starting point. That would also involve kind of updating some of the Azure KMP authentication mechanism to support different types of auth. And it would also involve porting over some of the cosign support into the CLI, and then in general, updating stuff that we have not updated on the CLI as you come across it. So fairly large scope, but we can break it down into like specific tasks too. That was just my general area I was recommending. But if there's something more pressing or better suited, if anyone has any suggestions.
Yeah, definitely open to suggestions, whatever can have the most impact.
Yeah, Akash, so for the CLI cosign experience, KMP experience, do we already have a tracking item? So Josh, maybe he can take a look and kind of understand what is the impact and which are the code change that's required, and he can leave comment or self-assign whenever you're ready, Josh.
Yeah, I think he just Josh just sent a link to the issue we have. It's pretty sparse right now. I can try to add some more detail there. There's only a few bullet points, but this
Yeah.
would be, I think, a good starting tracking issue for the work.
Yeah, sounds good. And are we tracking that for 1.3? Let me just have a look.
Sure.
Because I know we have the certificate rotation, but I don't know if KMP CLI support is on the 1.3 backlog right now.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
there's a milestone associated.
yeah. So in terms of priority, E, do you feel this one is 1.3?
Sorry, Susan, can you say it again? Which one?
Oh, am I still sharing screen?
Yes, but it's
Okay.
It must be a different screen, maybe.
Okay. So the item on the screen, add CLI support for KMP provider resource. E, do you believe this is something we should enable for Ratify 1.3?
This one, CLI support, does that mean Ratify as a CLI command line?
Yes.
This one actually not prioritized for 1.3. I think 1.3 is still targeting for the to complete the cosine Achilles OIDC support, error improvements, and I think Bingbing previously mentioned some work left for multi-tenancy in 1.3 during we created the roadmap. The multi-tenancy also split into two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
maybe you
see.
can take a look at the roadmap. The roadmap basically is the priority we aligned previously.
Yeah. Go ahead, Akash.
Yeah, in that case, should we consider something that's already in scope, like maybe error handling improvements or something else? I know we want to eventually put in the time to support the CLI scenario, because then you can actually do the verification using Azure Key Vault or other KMPs for signature validation and other sorts of validation.
Yeah, but this one is not. I mean, it's not mandatory for 1.3. We can start working on that, but if we cannot complete it for 1.3, it's still okay. But based on our resource and the priority, if we have some high priority that we need to complete, it's better that we can focus on those first.
Yeah, so Josh, with you recently added the roadmap document to Ratify.
Okay, is that just
repository.
attached? Okay, on the repo. Okay.
Yeah. Do you see I'm sharing the screen on the roadmap where
I still
currently.
see the hacker MD. Does
Oh,
everybody else see that?
I see.
Okay.
Yeah, I must be sharing the wrong window. Yeah, now I see. It doesn't have the green box around it. So let me quickly bring up the roadmap.
Yes, you see, actually in 1.2, we plan to have error logs improvements, but we didn't complete that. So that's one we'll move to 1.3. So 1.3, we have some work left for multi-tenancy and cosine Achilles OIDC support, as I mentioned, timestamping support, if not a project completed in time, and also the rotation, as Susan, you also mentioned this. This is also quite important scenario for the certificate and key rotation.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, Josh, we can send you the work items for you to review for the keyless signing and the certificate key rotation support, and you can work with Akash which one that you're most be interested in. Obviously, we are kind of prioritizing the work items that's in 1.3.
Sounds good.
But yeah, we also want to make sure that the work item that you're working on aligns with your interest.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll take a look at them and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah. We can create an offline chat and we can link you the items.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. Anything else, anyone?
Just to confirm, we will cut RC Friday
Today.
Pacific time, right? Today? Okay.
Yeah, we'll cut the branch today and we'll start the release process.
Okay. So once we have the package, I think I needed to update that document to reference to the right document. So currently in the cosine document that I wrote, it still reference the dev build, the latest dev build.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'll send you a link once the release is ready.
Thanks, Susan.
All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. Good to see you back, Josh.
Thank you. Good to see everyone as well.
Yeah, have a good week.
Welcome back, Josh. I forgot to say it.
Thank you very much.
Sorry. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you. See everyone.
Thank you.